I'm Haley Williams of the Buffalo Buttes, and you're listening to the Xperience Hockey Talk.
And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Xperience Hockey Talk, serious hockey talk for the serious hockey fans. My name is Michael Lindebaum, and we are brought to you by the Tilted Kilt Frederick, the Tilted Kilt Pub and Eatery located at 5605 Spectrum Drive in Frederick, Maryland. Come to the Celtic-themed sports pub featuring the world-famous Tilted Kilt Girls. For more information on Tilted Kilt Frederick, visit them on Facebook today. And ladies and gentlemen, this episode is the episode of November 21st. But there's a couple weird little differences because, one, this is probably not airing on November 21st. This is probably airing on Monday, November 23rd or Sunday, November 22nd, depending on when I can get this episode up. Because, as I mentioned last weekend, I am in Richmond, Virginia for VA Comic-Con. With that said, I am recording this intro and the Capitals Red Wings game in breakdown on Thursday, November 19th. I have interviewed Jenny Scrivens, which you'll hear a little bit later, on November 19th, and I'll be doing the Caps and Dallas Stars game breakdown also on Thursday, November 19th, which was also the day of the game for the Caps and the Dallas Stars. News and notes will be the only segment that you will hear in this episode that was recorded in Richmond, Virginia. Now, with that said, I'm going to just jump right on into it, and we're going to talk about the Washington Capitals game against the Detroit Red Wings on Wednesday, November 18th. The lineup for the Washington Capitals was the first line of Alex Ovechkin with Nicholas Backstrom and TJ Oshie. Second line of Marcus Johansson with Evgeny Kuznetsov and Andrei Burakovsky. Third line of Jason Chimera, Jay Beagle, and Justin Williams. Fourth line of Brooks Lake, Michael Latta, and Tom Wilson. Your defensive pairings was Nate Schmidt with John Carlson, Carl Alsner with Matt Niskanen, Dmitry Orlov with Taylor Chorney, with Braden Holtby in the net. Going into the first period, Detroit scored 2 minutes and 48 seconds into the game when Dylan Larkin got his 6th of the season, assisted by Pavel Datsyuk, who recorded his first point of the season. Detroit then took a penalty at 3:29 when Luke Glendening was called for hooking. Then at 7:20, Nate Schmidt was called for hooking as well. Then at 9:20, Dylan Larkin was also called for hooking. Then on the power play, Justin Williams scored his 4th of the season from Matt Niskanen and Nicholas Backstrom at 10:54. The assists were his 6th and 7th for Niskanen and Backstrom respectively. Detroit then got another penalty when Thomas Tatar was called for tripping at 11:40. Then at 16:15, Danny DeKeyser was called for interference at 16:15. At the end of one, it was Washington 1, Detroit 1. Shots were 10-7 in favor of Washington. The Capitals were 1 for 4 on the power play, where the Red Wings were 0 for 1. Faceoffs were 10-9 Detroit, and hits were 8-7 Detroit. Analysis for the first period was this was an okay period for the Caps. They had 4 power play opportunities and only converted on 1. It felt like Detroit controlled the period more, especially after the Red Wings took the 1-0 lead early in the game. However, the Caps responded well by tying the game. In the second period, the only thing that happened was that Carl Alsner was called for holding at 1:33. At the end of the second, it was still tied 1-1. Shots were 20-18 Detroit, where Detroit outshot Washington 13-8. Faceoffs were 21-19 in favor of Detroit. Hits were 14 even apiece. Power play, the Caps were 1 for 4, and Detroit was 0 for 2. This was another period that Detroit controlled, in my opinion. The Red Wings controlled the tempo and outshot the Capitals 13-8 in the second period. The Caps need to come out flying and causing chaos for the Red Wings. if they want to win this game. And then going into the third period, we just had two penalties. First, it was Danny DeKaiser being called for delay of game at 6:39, and then at 17:08, Detroit was called for a bench minor of too many men on the ice. At the end of the third period, it was still tied 1-1. Shots were even at 26 apiece. Faceoffs were 28-27 Detroit. Hits were 20-19 Detroit. The Capitals were 1 for 6 on the power play, where Detroit was 0 for 2. And then going into overtime, Evgeny Kuznetsov scored his 6th of the season from Matt Niskanen and Karl Alzner, which got their 7th and 5th assists respectively at 45 seconds into overtime. At the end of the game, the Washington Capitals won 2-1. Shots were 27-26. Faceoffs were 29-27 in favor of Detroit. Hits were 20-19 in favor of Detroit. The Caps were 1 for 6 on the power play, and Detroit was 0 for 2 on the power play. Overall analysis, the Capitals in the third period played with more urgency and created many scoring opportunities. However, the Caps' power play was not existent as they went 0 for 2 in the third period. Peter Mrazek was stellar once again for the Red Wings, and Braden Holtby stood on his head for the Caps. In overtime, Evgeny Kuznetsov once again used his heroics to win the game on the only shot in overtime. And with that said, we're going to go to break, and then we're going to go to our interview with NWHL goalie for the New York Riveters and NWHL PR person, Jenny Scrivens, and as well as the NWHL report. Want some pre-Thanksgiving fun? Then come to VA Comic-Con at the Richmond Raceway on November 21st and 22nd. Come see special guests like Bob Gale, the creator of Back to the Future, Marina Sirtis, who is from Star Trek The Next Generation, Trina Nishimura from Attack on Titan, and Walter Jones from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and of course, many, many more. For more information on the big 2-day show, please visit vacomiccon.com. That's VACOMICON.com. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the break, and it is now time to do the NWHL report, which is brought to you by DerbyCon. DerbyCon, which is December 4th through 6th at the Hyatt Morristown in Morristown, New Jersey. Come see special guests like Karel Struken, Richard Hatch, Michael H. Hansen, and many others. For more information, please visit derbycon.com. And this past weekend, on November 15th, you had two games. You had the Connecticut Whale versus the Buffalo Beauts, which saw the Connecticut Whale beating the Beauts with 55 seconds left in the game. Danielle Ward and the Connecticut Whale topped the NWHL standings following this game-winning goal left in regulation that hit the skate of a Buffalo defender after a scoreless first period. Kelly Babstock's shorthanded tally and a snipe from Kelly Stack put the Whale up 2-0. Then within the first 5 minutes of the third, Devon Skeets and Courtney Kunichka scored to tie the game at 2 apiece. The Connecticut Whale in this game were a perfect 9 for 9 on the penalty kill. Then at 7 p.m., you had the New York Riveters hosting the Boston Pride, which on a night where Nana Fujimoto made 42 saves on 44 shots, the New York Riveters won their first NWHL game in franchise history, 3-2 over the Boston Pride, who defeated them 7-1 a few weeks back when the Riveters had their home opener. Boston's co-captain Hillary Knight got the game's first goal early in the opening period. However, the Riveters responded when Madison Packer got her first goal of the season to tie the game at 1. Just 13 seconds later, Riveters forward Beth Hanrahan was able to sneak a shot past Pride goalie Lauren Slebdonek to put the Riveters up 2-1. The Riveters were a perfect 5 for 5 on the penalty kill to shut down the Pride. With these two games in the books, the updated NWHL standings now has the Connecticut Whale in first place at 4-0, Boston second at 3-1, the New York Riveters at 1-3 in third, and in fourth, the Buffalo Beauts at 0-4. And at this time, I would actually like to bring in my interview guest from the New York Riveters and from the NWHL PR, Miss Jenny Scrivens. Jenny, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Long day.
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. Now, I mentioned that not only are you playing for the Riveters, you're actually one of the goaltenders on the team, but you're also on the NWHL's public relations team. What's it like being on the Riveters and being a part of the PR team at the same time?
It's a lot of fun. I think I have a unique opportunity to see, the inside workings of the league and be able to see it as a player. But really, I find that it parallels my work at Cornell and going back to being in school all day and taking classes and balancing that with trying to play hockey. So kind of brings me back to my college days and trying to really work on my time management skills. But it's been a lot of fun so far, and I'm really thankful for this opportunity.
Cool. And then also I just mentioned that the Riveters got their first win of the season. What was it like for you? Because you were on the bench for the team backing
It
up
was so
Nutmeg.
exciting. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. I think we were just elated. We,
I
we
was
had worked so
watching.
hard for this. Yeah, I don't know if you could see it through the live feed how excited we were, but oh my gosh, we worked so hard.
I,
And we had had a 2-week break before this game at home against Boston. We took 2 weeks off with a league for Four Nations play. So our team only saw one player leave, Luda Belikova. She went and played with Team Russia, but the rest of our core team stayed here. So we were able to practice, get on the ice 2, 3 times a week and really work together as a team. And I think that benefited us because I think it was a night and day difference between where we left off before the break and how we came into that game against Boston.
yeah, because I mentioned, in the piece when you guys won your game that like 3 weeks before at your home opener, Boston won 7-1.
Yeah, that was a tough
So
game,
so
but
that was the
yeah.
transition for you ladies on that one from being blown out, which I guess is the appropriate way to say it, being blown out
Yep,
seven to
that's
one
fair.
to coming full circle around winning a very tight competitive game like you did shows that the team is getting there. It's the chemistry is building and you're all having fun at the same time with it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that 7-1 game against Boston was our second game of the season, our very first game at home. But the following weekend, we played at home against the Connecticut Whale, and it was a much closer game. So we had even seen improvements right up until the break. So it was kind of a matter of time. We're all buying into the systems, we're all working together, we're all doing the right things. That win was going to come, and it was really good to have it come against Boston.
Now, one of the biggest factors of that game, one thing I mentioned was that your team went 5 for 5 on the penalty kill. You're perfect 5 for 5. But the other key thing is that Nana Fujimoto stopped 42 out of 44 shots. How has her play been from day one of the league to now, and what's she like in the locker room for
Yeah,
everything?
she was amazing on Sunday. She was really a rock back there, I think, for us. There were a couple times where we got scattered in our own D zone and kind of, you know, mixed up some of our matches there. But I think that she did a great job calming everything down and controlling the rebounds and really controlling the play back there because, without her, we certainly wouldn't have been able to pull off that win. So she's great. She was great on Sunday. She's a great teammate to have. She's always smiling. She's always happy. Sometimes I wonder if she's understanding what I'm saying or if she's just like happy all of the time. But she's a good sport for putting up with us because I would find it really hard to move to a new country where I don't speak the language and try and fit in. But she seems to be fitting in perfectly.
Now, Nana actually put out a blog on the NWHL website, Double Overtime,
She did.
and I have to say it was a great read.
Yeah.
And it actually was a great way to get in her mind a little bit on her
hmm
transition from Japan to here in the United States. And I'm honestly very curious what hockey is like in Japan because that to me is one of the most interesting stories right there.
I'm absolutely curious, and we're really fortunate we're going to get the opportunity to see it firsthand because the Riveters are going to play 3 exhibition games in Nikko, Japan in December. So we are all thrilled. I don't think anyone on our team besides Nana has ever been to Japan. So for a lot of us, this will be our first time in Asia, our first trip to Japan, our first time playing hockey abroad, maybe for a lot of us. But I'm so excited. I don't know how much time we have, but I hope that Nana can show us around and show us some good food and some interesting things about her culture. But we'll see. I don't know if there's
Japan's
time.
definitely on my list of places to go
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I mean, it's on mine too, and I never would have thought that I'd be getting the chance to travel to Japan, paid for, and not only the trip paid for, but I'm getting paid to play hockey over there. I mean, that's just, it hasn't even sunk in yet. It's so incredible.
Now, I want to transition a little bit because you're mentioning, getting paid to play hockey, which to me is a great thing for women in general because, throughout my playing career in ice hockey and even in the other variations of hockey that I play in, I've always had female teammates.
Hmm.
And especially when, I was playing ice hockey competitively all the time, I had one female teammate who was better than me. I'll admit it. She was a better hockey player than me. But yeah, again, when you just classify yourself as a fourth line grinder, then yeah, that kind of happens at the same time.
Yeah, you open up those doors,
Yeah, you
definitely.
do. I knew my role. But when and I'm 29, and it's been about 11 years since I graduated high school. If this league was around 11 years ago, I could see this person still playing in the league.
Hmm.
So seeing the league happening now brings me great joy because I know that of all the women that I've played with, if they had that opportunity, they would grab at it right away.
Absolutely. And I think that we are all very, understanding of how fortunate we are. This league just happened to come about this year. And, had it been a few years later, I wouldn't have been in the position to be able to play in it. And it would have been, out of reach for me. So we do owe a lot to the women who paved the way before us, the women who have been, struggling to make the U.S. national teams and Olympic teams, and, who only had the opportunity to play college and then had to give up after that. We owe them a lot for this, and we have to sort of take this opportunity and run with it because we want to make sure that this opportunity is available for the next generation and for the women who are entering college now, and they're able to look at us and say, oh my gosh, I don't have to give up my hockey career when I graduate. I can continue to play. So we have to make sure that the league is still around for them, and we're doing our best.
And one childhood memory that I actually fondly remember is when Manon Rhéaume played for Tampa Bay
Hmm.
Lightning in that exhibition game.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
greatly
she's
remember
been a
that.
huge influence. I mean, I think ever since I can remember, I've always wanted to be like Mano, or I've always wanted to be the next Mano or something like that. It was a great, goal to achieve. But, all I remember of her was that she played that one extremely significant game, but then there was no league for me to follow her around thereafter, and there was no social media, or I don't even know if there would have been a team website back then. I don't know. There was no internet to keep tabs on her. So I had this one amazing memory of her and then nothing else. So that's what this league is trying to do. We're trying to fill in those gaps between the amazing Olympic play where you get to see the best women in the world compete. We should be able to see the best women in the world compete every single week, not just once every 4 years.
And with that, I want to know, what are your thoughts on the league so far from opening puck drop to now? What have your thoughts been on the league? How
I
has
think
it been improving?
Oh, I think it's just surpassed all of my expectations. I mean, the fan support has been incredible. We have some really loyal fans and some fans who are even developing rivalries with other teams, which it just blows my mind. Like the biggest concern for me was getting people in the stands, and now we're getting people who are booing the other team and developing rivalries, and that's just everything you could ever ask for in a fan base. So fan support, check. I'd say that's great. The level of play is amazing. I mean, we've basically taken some of the best players in the world and put them onto four teams. I mean, we have players who have competed at the Olympic level. We have players who are the best on their Division I college teams, highest scorers, captains, all like just kind of the best of the best. And we've put them all together in a league of four teams. So it's very competitive, very fast, just a really fun game to watch.
And I have to say, like, this past weekend, I got to watch both games. And
Hmm.
of course, there are some stream issues, which is one of the working bugs that you guys are still trying to work out.
Yeah.
Um, I have to say, I want more hitting.
You want more hitting,
I
like
want more
hitting,
hitting.
hitting, or like body
Yeah,
check. We can't hit though.
I know, I know, but it's like I don't know. It's just how
I think you need to come. Yeah, I think you need to come see a game in person because it's rough and it's aggressive. Yes, we can't check. We're not allowed to check like the men are, but it gets aggressive against the boards, and people aren't afraid to throw their bodies. And especially, I'm impressed with the how much our players block shots. I mean, I get in front of a puck that fast, and I have full equipment on, but our players do it day in and day out with very little equipment on. So
Oh,
these athletes are something else.
yeah, I know that that transition of blocking shots wearing goalie gear and blocking shots wearing the forward gear
Yeah,
or
it's
skater
different.
gear because, well, I played all positions,
Hmm.
so I have that very good understanding of what you're talking about
Yeah.
when it comes to blocking shots. But what we're gonna do right now, because there were a lot of announcements made this week.
Yeah, we've been busy,
Yeah,
busy at
you
the NWHL offices.
yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick break,
Okay,
and when we come back, we are going to announce those announcements.
sounds good.
So we will be right back. The Xperience Hockey Talk is brought to you by DerbyCon, which is December 4th through 6th at the Hyatt Morristown in Morristown, New Jersey. Come see special guests like Karel Struken, Richard Hatch, Michael H. Hansen, and many others. For more information, please visit derpycon.com. And welcome back to the Xperience Hockey Talk, with serious hockey talk for the serious hockey fan. Michael here with Jenny Scrivens from the New York Riveters and, of course, NWHL PR. And like we mentioned before the break, there were a lot of announcements done this week on the NWHL website. And we're going to start with number one, which was Nana Fujimoto was named NWHL Player of the Week. Jenny, we talked about Nana earlier. Why don't you explain to everyone why Nana Fujimoto earned Player of the Week for this past week?
Nana stood on her head during our game against Boston. I think she stopped 42 of 44 shots
Yep.
and really kept us in the game. She was the difference maker for us, and without all of those saves, it would have been a long night. I can tell you that for sure. So kudos to Nana and congratulations on her. Hopefully first of many Player of the Week nods.
Now, speaking of the NWHL Player of the Week, previous
Hmm.
ones were Kelly Stack, Zoe Hickle, and Brianna Decker before
Hmm.
Nana. Now, on this show, the Xperience Hockey Talk, starting next week, we're going to start doing something new. Would you like to tell the listeners what's going to be happening?
Absolutely. We'll be bringing on the Player of the Week every week. So I look forward to seeing who it's going to be next time.
Yes. And then moving on to the next announcement, the NWHL announced the other day that they have reached their first television deal with Nesson to air 8 games of the Boston Pride. And Jenny, why don't you delve a little bit more into this? Because this is actually a very big deal for the NWHL, and it's one that's really good to have.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nesson announced that they will air 8 of Boston's 9 home games starting this weekend, actually. So this is the New York Riveters' first real road trip. Our first one was Connecticut. I hardly consider that a road trip. It was closer to some of us than Aviator rink in Brooklyn. So our first real road trip of the year will be in Boston, and it'll be on Nesson. So pretty much all of our friends and family will be able to watch. It's a really big deal, and I think it validates everything that we've been working towards. We really want that exposure. We want that exposure for our players and for the league, and I think it's important. So I look forward to everyone being able to tune in and see us live.
And just to throw this out there, because I have the schedule sitting in front of me,
Hmm.
you have this weekend against the Riveters. Then you have next weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, against the Connecticut Whale.
Hmm.
Then you have December 6th, December 20th, January 3rd, January 10th, January 17th, and Valentine's Day
Yeah,
as
that'll be a
all
good
the
one.
games for that will be broadcasted on Nesson. And I can see Connecticut and Boston on Valentine's Day having their own version of a maybe a St. Valentine's Day massacre on the ice of goals and
We'll
penalties.
see.
Like I said, I
Yeah.
love my hitting, man. Old time hockey, Eddie Shore. Where's the foil?
Yeah, we'll see.
And then for our third announcement, which was done today, and I note that today is November 19th, of course, this airs on Saturdays, the NWHL announces their inaugural All-Star game with All-Star festivities and ticket information. Jenny, I'm going to let you take this one away.
This one's really exciting. So, of course, we're in our first year. We're in our inaugural year. It also means our very first All-Star game ever. So we just announced today that the All-Star game will be in Buffalo at the Harbor Center, January 23rd and 24th. January 23rd is a sort of skate with the stars. So it's this incredible VIP experience. You can purchase tickets to skate with the members of both All-Star teams. And then the next day is the game. So it'll be 4-on-4 for two 20-minute periods, and then a skills competition. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And the cool thing is we've selected 2 team captains. So Buffalo's own local star, Emily Falzer, was the Buffalo Beauts. And then, of course, Hillary Knight from the Boston Pride. They will be their team captains, and they will be selecting their team. So every team will have 14 players. Emily and Hillary will be selecting 11 of them. There will be 2 spots left open on both teams, and we're going to hand it over to our social media team and our social media fans to select the remaining 4 spots. So I think that's the coolest thing we could do. I don't know. I'm really excited about that opportunity.
And just so everyone knows, tickets for the inaugural NWHL All-Star Game are just $25 and can be purchased at www.nwhl.co/buy-tickets starting on Friday, November 27th, Black Friday, at 12 a.m. Eastern Time. And then, as Jenny was mentioning, ticket packages that include access to the 2016 NWHL All-Star Game and Saturday Skate with the Stars will also be available for $125. And because it's on Black Friday that they go on sale, make the perfect holiday gift for the fan in your life. So that's actually exciting. And I'm bringing this up because this is something I actually asked Haley Williams when I had her on 2 weeks ago, is that for me, all of your games, I think except for like one this season, are on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Could there ever be a chance, maybe next season, where games move to Saturdays? And I ask this because I live in Maryland. I live right outside Washington, D.C. Technically, the closest team to me is the New York Riveters.
Mm-hmm.
For me, coming up on a Sunday is a little difficult, but if it's a Saturday, it's a little bit easier. Has there ever been that type of discussion at all?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll take a look at this for year 2. I think for year 1, Sundays were just a really good fit. We wanted to play once a week, and we really wanted it to be a whole sort of family affair, family event. So for us and for scheduling and for working with all the rinks, Sundays were the best. But we're definitely open to that feedback, and we'll see how we can do this better in year 2.
Yeah, and like I said, I just asked because I want to come.
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
Yeah, I want to come. It's hard sometimes. But with that, we actually are going to go into upcoming games.
Okay.
This Sunday, November 22nd at 3 p.m., you'll have the New York Riveters at the Boston Pride, as we mentioned earlier, which will be aired on NESN Live. This is Boston Pride's home opener at the Harvard Bright Landry Center. And then at 3:30 p.m., you have the Connecticut Whale at the Buffalo Beauts. The Buffalo Beauts will actually be hosting their Military Appreciation Day and will be wearing camo jerseys that will be auctioned after the game, which benefits defending the blue line. For more information on the National Women's Hockey League, visit nwhl.co or follow on Twitter at NWHL_. And Jenny, I just want to say thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for doing the announcements here on the show for the NWHL, and best of luck this upcoming weekend against the Boston Pride up in Boston.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
And with that, we are going to go to a break.
Tilted Kilt Girl Brittany here. Need a place to watch the game? Come to the Tilted Kilt Pub and Eatery at 5605 Spectrum Drive in Frederick, Maryland. Tilted Kilt Frederick, home of the world-famous Tilted Kilt Girls. Come to the best-looking sports pub you've ever seen for all your Washington Capitals games viewing pleasure. For more information on the Tilted Kilt Frederick, visit them on Facebook today.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Xperience Hockey Talk, serious hockey talk for the serious hockey fans. Michael Lindenbaum here. And now we're going into the November 19th game against the Dallas Stars versus the Washington Capitals. And your lineup for the Washington Capitals were first line of Alex Ovechkin with Nicholas Backstrom and TJ Oshie, second line of Marcus Johansson, Evgeny Kuznetsov, and Andrei Burakovsky, third line of Jason Chimera, Jay Beagle, and Justin Williams, and the fourth line of Brooks Lake, Michael Latta, and Tom Wilson. Defensive pairings were Nate Schmidt with John Carlson, Carl Alsner with Matt Niskanen, Dmitry Orlov with Taylor Chorney, and Philip Grubauer in the net. Going into the first period, Dallas scored at 9:28 into the period when Tyler Seguin scored his 11th goal of the season from John Klingberg and Jamie Benn. Then at 14:57, Nicholas Backstrom was called for hooking. And then at 17:40, Nicholas Backstrom scored his 7th goal of the season from Taylor Chorney and Dmitry Orlov. Chorney getting his first point of the season and first as a Washington Capital, whereas Orlov was getting his 5th assist of the season. At the end of one, Caps and Dallas were tied at 1 apiece. Shots were at 12 apiece. Faceoffs were 13-11 Washington. Hits were 9-5 Washington. The Capitals did not have a power play, and the Dallas Stars were 0 for 1. It was a decent first period for the Capitals. They started with a good tempo, but mistakes costed them, and Dallas was able to take the 1-0 lead. The coach's challenge by Barry Trotz was unnecessary, as the goal was a good one. There was no goalie interference. There should be no complaining about it. It's a standard set play. Barry Trotz completely wasted a timeout by doing the challenge, and eventually it probably costed the Caps, but we'll get to that in a bit. The Caps scoring late to tie the game definitely helped bring momentum their way to start the second. And then in the second period, the only thing that happened was at 2:16, Tom Wilson was called for roughing, which at the end of the second, both teams were tied at 1. Shots were 23-20 Dallas. Faceoffs were 24-17 Dallas. Hits were 13-7 Washington. Dallas was 0 for 2 on the power play, and Washington still had no power plays. This was not the best second period for the Caps. Only player, in my opinion, who had a great period was Tom Wilson. After taking a roughing penalty, he had 2 really good quality scoring chances and almost gave the Caps the lead as a result. The Caps need to shoot the puck more than pass, because they have passed the puck away one too many times again, which is a continuing thing that I've been saying since essentially the first game of the season. You gotta shoot when you get to the top of the face-off circles. You cannot shoot, right when you're about to hit the goal line. Going into the third period, at 4:45, Dallas goal was scored by Cody Eakin, his 6th of the season, assisted by John Klingberg and Valery Nichushkin. Then, at 7:01, Alexander Ovechkin scored his 9th of the season and 484th career goal, breaking the Russian record that Sergei Fedorov had, which was assisted by Nicholas Backstrom, his 8th of the season, and TJ Oshie, his 5th of the season. Then, at 11:10, Jason Spezza scored his 8th goal of the season unassisted. At the end of the game, it was Dallas 3 and Washington 2. Shots were 35-31 Washington, where Washington outshot Dallas 15-8. Faceoffs were 33-22 Dallas. Hits were 19-10 Washington. Dallas was 0 for 2 on the power play, and the Washington Capitals had none the entire game. The third period was a better period for the Capitals as they outshot the Stars 15-8, but it was a goal by Jason Spezza due to the Caps' sloppiness in their own zone that costed them the game. It was great seeing Alex Ovechkin finally breaking Sergei Fedorov's record for most goals by a Russian, and it was great to see Tom Wilson show flashes of what he can bring offensively as a scoring threat, especially the fact that there were plays that he was making in that third period, like taking shots from the point. He filled in for the defenseman, he called for the shot, he got it, and he let it rip, and he almost got a goal on that one. Tom Wilson, in my opinion, this is probably his best game of the season so far. He didn't get a goal, but he showed great flashes of offensive talent that we all knew that he had back when he was in juniors. And then going back to Ovechkin, it is great. Third time he shot the puck was the charm. Good to see him break Sergei Fedorov's record. Well deserved, well earned. And then, and this is coming back to, the coach's challenge. Barry Trotz shouldn't have called the coach's challenge, in my opinion. It was a good goal after seeing all the replays. And by doing that, he burned his timeout. A timeout that the Caps could have really have used in this period, especially after they got really sloppy in their own zone after controlling the play in the Stars zone. So the coach's challenge costed the team, sloppiness costed the team, not being consistent throughout the game again costed the team. Going into their next games, they gotta be consistent. They gotta play the full 60 minutes. They gotta shoot the puck once they hit the top of the face-off circles. In the slots on the hash marks. They gotta get those shots off in the hot zones, as you would call them. So that's what I want to see the Caps do on Saturday when they go up against Colorado, and then I believe Monday against Edmonton. But what's the road ahead for the Caps? That will be done after news and notes. And with that, we are going to go to break. Ever interested in meeting your favorite athletes or celebrities, or looking for that right memorabilia for your collection? Then come to the CSA shows in Chantilly, Virginia. For more information, go to csashows.com. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Xperience Hockey Talk, serious hockey talk for serious hockey fans, and it is now time to do NHL news and notes. Starting with 11-14, NHL teams pay tribute to the victims of the Paris attacks. Each of the 13 arenas that hosted an NHL game Saturday 11-14 honored victims of the recent Paris tragedy with a moment of silence and a pre-game ceremony. Some also played the French national anthem, La Marseillaise, prior to puck drop, including Bell Center, where the Montreal Canadiens hosted the Colorado Avalanche. The Washington Capitals held a moment of silence before their game against the Calgary Flames on 11-13. Dallas Stars forward Antoine Roussel and Philadelphia Flyers forward Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, the two NHL players who are from France, both gained league permission to put the French flag on their helmets, and for Roussel, also on his stick. Many other players around the league also put the French flag on their helmets. On 11-14, Pekka Rinne made 20 saves to earn his second shutout of the season, and 8 different Nashville Predators skaters had multiple points in their 7-0 victory against the Winnipeg Jets. On 11-15, the Colorado Avalanche placed goalie Semyon Varlamov on injured reserve Sunday, retroactive to November 10th. Varlamov has been sidelined with a groin injury sustained during practice. Colorado also claimed forward Chris Wagner off of waivers from the Anaheim Ducks to take Varlamov's place on the roster. On 11-15, Carolina Hurricanes defenseman Ryan Murphy is sidelined with a concussion, Coach Bill Peters said on Sunday. Murphy left Carolina's 3-2 overtime loss to the Philadelphia Flyers on Saturday 11-14 in the second period after he was hit by Flyers forward Ryan White, who was penalized for boarding. And on 11-15, Philadelphia Flyers forward Ryan White will be sidelined 2 to 4 weeks with an upper body injury. White was hurt in the Flyers' 3-2 overtime win on 11-14 against the Carolina Hurricanes when he was checked by Hurricanes defenseman John Michael Lyles. He left the ice and did not return. Then on 11-15, Ottawa Senators goalie Andrew Hammond sustained an undisclosed injury during practice on that day, and goalie Matthew O'Connor has been recalled on an emergency basis. Also on November 15th, down 1-0 in the second period, the Blackhawks scored 4 unanswered goals to defeat the Calgary Flames 4-1. In the process, Patrick Kane extended his point streak to 13 games and his career-high goal streak to 7 games. On 11-16, Matt Duchene, Matt Zuccarello, and James Reiner named Stars of the Week for the week ending November 15th. First star was Matt Duchene, center of the Colorado Avalanche. Duchene led the NHL with 4 goals and 8 points, including 3 multi-point performances and as many outings to help the Avalanche begin their season-long 7-game road trip with a 3-0 record. Then, second was Matt Zuccarello, right winger of the New York Rangers. Zuccarello paced the NHL with 5 assists and ranked second with 7 points in 4 games to help the Rangers extend their winning streak to 9 games and point streak to 13 contests. And the third star was James Reimer, goaltender of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Reimer went 3-0 with a 1.62 goals against average and a .952 save percentage to backstock the Maple Leafs to 3 wins in 4 games. Also on 11:16, ahead 3-1 after 40 minutes, the Detroit Red Wings yielded 2 third-period goals, including the tying goal by Bobby Ryan with 2:48 remaining before Tomas Tatar scored 2:04 into overtime to lift the Red Wings to a 4-3 victory over the Ottawa Senators. Then on 11:17, Jason Spezza scored the eventual game-winning goal at 7:35 of the third period that helped the Dallas Stars earn their third consecutive victory and continue their record-setting start to the season. On 11:17, James Reimer made 34 saves, and the Toronto Maple Leafs scored all 5 of their goals via special teams en route to their 4th win in 5 games after a 2-8-4 start to the season. On 11:18, forward Tyler Kennedy joined the New Jersey Devils on a professional tryout contract. Kennedy is traveling with the Devils on their Western Canadian road trip. On 11:18, New York Islanders defenseman Travis Hamonic has requested a trade to a Western Conference team per Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet. Hamonic would like to be traded to a Western Canadian team, specifically to be closer to his family. On 11:18, the NHL announces the new All-Star Game format. The NHL and the NHL Players Association announced that the All-Star Game will be transformed into a 3-on-3 All-Star tournament comprised of 3 20-minute games played by divisional all-star teams competing for a winner-take-all $1 million prize. Each divisional all-star team will have 11 players that will be comprised of 6 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 2 goaltenders. Fans will select 1 player from each division without regard for position in the 2016 NHL All-Star Fan Vote. The players voted in by the fans will also be named captains of the respective team. The remaining 40 All-Stars will be named by the NHL Hockey Operations Department. There will be at least 1 representative from all 30 teams. The first 2 20-minute games will be the semifinal round, with the Central Division All-Stars playing the Pacific Division All-Stars and the Metropolitan Division All-Stars playing against the Atlantic Division All-Stars. The winners will play for the championship in the 3rd game. Then later on November 18th, the Edmonton Oilers tied the game twice in the 3rd period, but Marian Hossa scored his 12th career overtime goal 68 seconds into overtime to lift the Chicago Blackhawks to a 4-3 victory and their 3rd consecutive victory. Also, line mates Patrick Kane and Artemi Panarin each had multiple points to extend their point streaks. Kane extended his to 14 games and Panarin pushed his to 6. And also on November 18th, the line of Drew Stafford, Mark Scheifele, and Matthew Perreault combined for 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points to help the Winnipeg Jets end a 6-game skid in the return to the MTS Center after a 4-game road trip. The Jets defeated the Vancouver Canucks 4-1. On 11/19, Valtteri Filppula scored the game-winning goal shorthanded with 1:05 left in regulation as the Tampa Bay Lightning won 2-1 and snapped the New York Rangers' 9-game winning streak in the first game between the teams since the 2015 Eastern Conference Finals. And also on 11/19, after a scoreless 60 minutes, Melker Karlsson scored his first career overtime goal at 3:45 of overtime to lead the Sharks to a 1-0 win. Martin Jones made 34 saves to win his 4th straight game and shares the league lead with Jake Allen and Michael Neuvirth with 3 shutouts. And on November 19th, Craig Anderson recorded his 30th career shutout with Erik Karlsson scored consecutive second-period goals in a span of 1 minute 51 seconds as the Senators defeated the Columbus Blue Jackets 3-0. And then on November 20th, after the Blue Jackets lost 3-0 at the Ottawa Senators a day earlier, Sergei Bobrovsky stopped all 39 shots he faced as the Blue Jackets earned a shutout win of their own by defeating the Nashville Predators 4-0. And on November 20th, knotted at 1 apiece through 60 minutes, Johnny Gaudreau scored at 1:38 of overtime to give the Calgary Flames a home win against the Chicago Blackhawks. And now for the road ahead for the Washington Capitals. On 11/21, they will be at home against the Colorado Avalanche, who, as of 11/21, were 7-11-1. And then on November 23rd, they will take on the Edmonton Oilers, who, as of also November 21st, are 7-12-1. Then on November 25th, they face the Winnipeg Jets, who, as of November 21st, were 9-9-2. And on Black Friday, November 27th, they take on the Tampa Bay Lightning, also at home, to end their homestead. And the Tampa Bay Lightning, as of November 21st, are also 9-9-3. And with that said, I would like to thank you all for listening to the Xperience Hockey Talk. I would like to apologize for the lateness of this episode coming up. I was away at Virginia Comic Con in Richmond, Virginia. I didn't have Wi-Fi to post up. And also, I'd like you to listen in, as there is a special thing that I was able to record at the convention for a nonprofit charity. So with that, I'm Michael Lindenbaum. This has been the Xperience Hockey Talk, which has been brought to you by the Tilted Kilt Frederick, the Tilted Kilt Pub and Eatery, located at 5605 Spectrum Drive in Frederick, Maryland. Come to the Celtic-themed sports pub featuring the world-famous Tilted Kilt girls. For more on Tilted Kilt Frederick, visit them on Facebook today. And until next time, I'll see you on the ice. Hey everyone, Mike here, and I'm with Zachary from Galactic Productions, and we're here to talk to you about Rangers for Relief. Zachary, why don't you tell everyone about Rangers for Relief?
So Rangers for Relief is a nonprofit organization. Myself, Austin St. John, David Yost, Walter Jones, David Fielding, Karen Ashley, and several other Power Rangers cast members came up with last week at Ranger Stop in Orlando, Florida. It just happened to be the same time as the Paris terror attacks, and we all were, wondering what we can do to help those guys, the victims from Paris. So we formed Rangers for Relief. At Ranger Stop, we've raised over $3,000. We're currently still taking donations through November 30th. And for every donation of $20 or more, you get a ticket. Every $10 after that, you get another ticket. And on the 30th at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we will raffle off one photo signed by all 26 Power Rangers cast members that attended Ranger Stop.
Thank you, Zachary, for that, and we wish you the best of luck with the Rangers for Relief fund.
Cool. Thank you.
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 Fund.